Perfect.
Well, just like every other stream, I have no idea what's going on because there's too much going on in the world. Welcome to the Kun stream. Today we have a special guest, Bunty King. How's it going, Bunty?
Bunty? No, you can call me Button. It's good.
Button.
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I had to drive to the studio to avoid, because my family's asleep. My sister's got to wake up early, and so I figured it'd be great because hanging out with my producers here.
You have a studio and producers. Ooh, I'm going to have to ask you some questions about that.
Sure.
We also have the Playpod. How's it going there, Sam?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Going good. And of course, we have the very sick Schmeckel who will be in and out for sick reasons. How you doing?
Well, sick mainly.
Yeah. Apparently, it's cold and flu season. So, what were you expecting? It's like it's a bit weird. I'm sure he gets the usual morning hangover, so he's quite used to avoiding his guts, but not in the afternoon, I imagine. So it's gotta be weird.
Past maybe 3 p.m., it's not supposed to keep happening.
Yeah. So what's new with you guys? What's happening?
Fuck, I'll let Politipod take the reins on that question first.
You go ahead, man. I got somebody talking in the background right now.
Really? Oh. Wow. Someone's talking to you while you're in the middle of the stream? Okay, he muted himself.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, what's new with me, man? I don't know. Just found like a bit of a renewed energy in terms of doing YouTube. I'm like less like worried about putting whatever out there. And because I don't know what the fuck happened. I mean, I know what happened.
You said worried. What was your main cause of worry? What's been happening?
just like I think I'm stupid. I just think I'm very dumb. So for me, like whenever I create content, there's been tons of videos that I've like filmed recently that I've just like scrapped because I watch it and I hear my voice and I'm just like, fuck this. I don't want to put this up. So it's really about coming from a place of low self-worth. And which is shitty because when you watch me on Twitter, I give off a vibe where I'm just like, fuck, I got my dick out. You know that when you're watching me, like I'm like holding my dick in one hand and I'm like holding the record button on Twitter video in like another hand, right? So like you think that like I'm just this guy who just chills all the time, right? But
you gotta be careful admitting that because any woman or let's say feminist who hears you say that can honestly say you're sexually assaulting them through your tweets.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm just bringing it up with the guys. We're having a bit of locker room talk here, okay?
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, no. So that's what it feels. So that's what I guess the perception is. But when it comes to me being on my own, this last winter has been really rough. Just a bunch of things have happened in real life for me. That in conjunction with the like craziness going on online, it was just like a wave of emotion that overcame me. So it was really, really hard to, just deal with myself and create content and upload it. But now I'm just trying to do it as best I can. Plus financial woes have been really rough.
It's been a cacophony of bullshit. You could say.
Yeah. It's been pretty hard, man. Like I don't think I've been this low financially at any point in my life. Like since like 2010, I've just consistently had money to the point where I'm just like, I want to buy this today, so I'm just going to buy this today. And like this is now like I'm at this point now where I don't have that. I don't feel I'm feeling the bite of poverty. So it's like, so it's really about like focusing on creating content that's good and being able to monetize my platform and all that shit, and and also maybe do some freelancing work on the side, a side hustle. I was even thinking of getting a job as a bartender because I love people. So I was thinking of just getting a weekend job where I just tend to bar. It'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, money can definitely be a factor in a person's life, definitely on your comfort levels and even your self-esteem and all that. So
totally.
Oh yeah, without any like proper income or anything like that, you can definitely feel like concerned, especially if your future plans and whatnot. So
for sure.
I can see that being a big hamper on your creativity. Has that been the factor as to why you've been feeling like your videos on YouTube? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. I just generally feel like that I don't like I'm just not worth it. I don't want to bring you guys down here, but that's what it's been like for me. So, but the thing is, like, I've just been powering on, just doing it. You know, I've got some good friends here who are very supportive. Like my producers, you know, are also my friends. Like these are people that, like, you know, I get to hang out with all the time, and they, you know, bring me along on other projects that they do around the city. So, so there's that. But you know, without them, it would been really, really fucked up. But I'm thankful for that much, at least. You know, if I didn't have friends, I can only imagine. Like I was hearing Beard Barian talk about his experiences on stream, and he was talking about how he was homeless for like the majority of the last like decade. You know, and I was hearing that, I'm like, holy fuck, you had it so rough, and you know, it just makes me like really kind of appreciate my situation. So even though I feel like crap right now, like I know that other people have had it worse, and that, you know, I gotta be somewhat appreciative of what's going on.
Right. Well, I mean, like the poverty factor on creativity, that can definitely be a hindrance. It can also be it can be a boon in some cases, because some people take the misery and whatnot and they make something of it. And it sounds like with Beardy, like with his situation, he definitely took any negative emotion he might have and just put it into his work and his stream. I've known of some artists who actually have done that, who have also done struggles, like they were homeless or they had family members that were gone, they were suffering through depression, and they just worked through it, through this. So
that's what I'm trying to do. I think that everything, you know, this is going to sound very cliche and very normie, but I am a normie. I'm not like I'm not some super genius, like hard-hitting intellectual. That's something I never describe myself as. Never describe myself as a skeptic, some guy who thinks he's smarter than the rest of society. That's not something that, not that I'm saying that all skeptics think that, but like, you know, that's never been my like, I wouldn't say that that's a descriptor of me. But you know, I think that everything happens for a reason. And you know, this whole thing about all these things that I'm going through right now are probably just to kind of prepare me for something better in the future, so that I can at the very least appreciate it. Because I feel like if I was just constantly on this high over and over again, just climbing the ranks without any effort whatsoever, without any struggle, I don't think that I think people can actually just let me just take it back a second here. If you are in life and you're just kind of like handed opportunity after opportunity, and you are just winning all the time without any loss, you can't really feel a good win. That's what I think. I feel like if you look at all these business owners, look at someone like Donald Trump, man. The guy's had to declare bankruptcy a bunch of times, and now he's now he's the president of the United States. Now, whether you like him or not, you know, respect, because the guy made it to president of the United States after probably having to deal with countless shit. I mean, the guy has sexual assault allegations on him or stuff like that, like harassment allegations, all these things, but yet he still made it to president of the United States. This guy is like a literal fighter. So, yeah.
Well, life is definitely meaningless without any form of struggle. Otherwise, how would you know the good times from the bad times? You need bad times to compare it to.
Exactly.
And also help you to acknowledge those good moments when they do come. So no, that's a very good point on there. Also, I think that there's something to be said about struggling for what you want and struggling for what you get. It definitely, once you achieve it, it's all the more sweeter if you've actually worked for it. So
for sure.
There's
plenty of stories like that on YouTube. You know, like plenty of them. Yeah, I think when you see like, for example, like someone who, you know, it sucks because it sucks that there's so much controversy around him, because, you know, I was introduced to Tonka Saw like when, you know, nobody really knew Tonka Saw, you know, like it was just like a chill guy, you know, and he is still just a chill guy in my opinion. But it's been really nice to see him doing well, because, you know, he wasn't really getting much attention. Now all of a sudden he's getting all this attention. It's great. It's incredible. That's like awesome. I can only imagine how he's feeling, because he's probably been in a situation where he's had to deal with hard shit, and now he's doing well. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, I think he was when he was a wrestler, he broke his neck, and that's why he had to stop. Otherwise,
I can only fuck.
Yeah. Well, he's doing okay now, but I mean, if he kept doing it, he probably, you know, if he didn't take care of himself, he could actually hurt himself pretty severely, I would imagine. I don't know how neck injuries particularly go, but he's doing okay. He's doing all right for himself, so I'm glad in that regard.
He's wrestling in a different way now. It's verbal wrestling. It's great, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
No neck breaking there, other than metaphoric neck breaking. That's about it.
Yeah, he's doing what's called the blood sports. I think it's even been going that in the media now, What do you think about that blood sports term?
I think it's I think I've said this before. I think it's a necessary thing because it's what the market demanded at the time. If you know about me, you'll know that you'll know that I'm a marketer. So when I see opportunities, especially the opportunities that I align with, actually only opportunities that I align with. So if I'm not going to see an opportunity and be like, oh, I could do this, but it's not really what I want to do, but I'll do it anyway because it's going to make me money. That's something I would never do. This is something that clearly Tonka enjoys, and there is an opportunity in the market for it, and he took that opportunity and he made this show. I think it's excellent. I think it's needed. I think people who are hating on it are just losing their minds. I don't think they should hate on them. You can go ahead and criticize the format or something like that. And I think that everyone should be open to criticism to some degree. But I think that there's a fine line between hate and criticism. If you're criticizing, it's really kind of in order to improve it. You don't want to criticize, I think, to break things down. I think people forget that. People want the medium to be better. When you criticize a film or an action film, you want other action films to be better. And I think that that's it just makes sense. So, but I don't get the hatred for it. I don't get it. It's just you don't have to participate in it, but I just don't get the hatred for it. It's listen, it's just it's a thing that's gonna happen.
To an extent, I do understand the hatred, but I also understand why it's as popular as it is. I remember actually, I think it was back in the 90s and the early 2000s when there was that big atheist movement going on there. Mm-hmm. One of the big things going around the internet was, of course, the debates with, let's say, Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins. What was the other guy? Anyway, these people would go out there.
How old are you guys? How old are you guys, by the way?
Well, 34.
34, okay. So at that time, you guys were you watching those debates?
I watch them from time to time. I know that there was a lot of people who really enjoyed them, but the biggest hatred I saw for them, despite the different odds and ends, is that they actually wish the moderator wasn't there. A lot of people wanted these arguments and these back and forths to just go on, and it was it felt like the birth of blood sports back then. Let these two people just hash it out. But of course, the moderator's job is to, of course, keep things civil and make sure you don't go over your time and all that stuff, and give people a chance to respond. And then when you get something like the Kumite, it's a lot like the same thing, but there's no moderation. Just fucking have at it, essentially. And I can understand that, but then when things go too far, and let's say people go back and forth in a discussion, and then you find out that that one person didn't exactly have all the information. Well, the other one doesn't really stop them and say okay, well, I'll get that in a moment, Sam. And then they wouldn't raise the big thing people remember Tonka from was that time he was talking with Ranty Monkey and he just kept calling him Ho. All right, that I from a discussion and conversation point of view, that was
embarrassing.
Annoying, yeah.
Yeah, but I see that's the thing about Tonka is I got invited into a stream once. I don't even remember this guy. Okay, I don't remember him at all. But this is some farmer dude. He almost looked like a skinhead. This guy, but he was talking about his. He was just Tonka was really pissed at him, and Tonka said some really crazy shit. But I just think that's what happens. It's just the thing. It's like. When we venture into talking about these kinds of things, I feel like we venture into tone policing. And I think that's a very annoying thing because people try to tone police me all the time, or they try to police my platform. They're like, oh, you're not asking the right questions this way. I'm like, no. I'm asking the right questions. I know how to deal with people. I talk to people all the time in real life. It's not this is not some kind of thing I'm testing out on the internet. I've gotten to places in life because of how I'm capable of conducting myself around people. So for me to be in an interview format with certain people and ask them questions and then have people come and tell me that I'm not asking the right questions in a way that's kind of condescending, it's tone policing. And I'm not saying that you're being condescending right now, but I just think that, ultimately Tonka is, in a way, he's stepping into a persona or some kind of role online. And that's the way he's going to talk. And I think that it's, if you see that that's just him talking that way, in a way that's kind of, in a way that's kind of humorous, then you'll understand. That's how I think of it. I heard him talking to Destiny. he was just like, I don't like you, Des. I was like, oh my god,
I don't like you. I don't want to be your friend, Vadim. I don't want to be your friend, Vadim.
I know, it's like so funny the way he says it. He's got such a cool voice when he says it. So it's like he's kind of playing up this guy, and I think that it's I can't it's like I don't think you're going to go on the Kumite for a discussion. You won't go for a discussion. It's not really a discussion. It's
Probably
it's not where you go to fix your issues with someone. It's where you go to yell at them and let them know what your fucking issues are.
I think that there's a place for that, but you're right. So many streams out there. Heck, even the gun stream to an extent. I mean, people do sometimes come here to have their discussions and whatnot, and we'll just let them have it. Granted, it can get awfully crowded here sometimes, and people will talk over each other. But I mean, you're still going to have that discussion. With the Kumite, not so much. And I think part of the problem is that most people just hop on these streams, and it just sort of like naturally people go into the basic conversation of having their civil chats and whatnot. And it's sort of like when you come on a stream, you just sort of expect it, but when you go on the Kumite, you don't. It catches you off guard.
You know, like I mean, it's just a thing now, and like I said, there's a market, and it was gonna be someone was gonna go ahead and satisfy the demand, and honestly, I would much rather it be someone like I know, like Tonka, as opposed to someone I don't know, you know, and that's pretty much it, and so when it comes to like people like saying that, oh, it's a platform for this person or it's a platform for that person, it's like, listen, at the end of the day, you know, people are just going to talk. They're going to talk. And if I'm going to make content and I'm going to go ahead and provide criticism or social commentary, I'm not going to provide it in a manner that's going to be made like for the sole purpose of getting the other person, shaming the other person away. I've noticed that has been a format for ages. It's a format in the commentary community on YouTube. It's a format in the skeptic community where they pretty much just say, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then you have a bunch of their viewers go over to that other person and then shame. And hopefully shame. And once they get shamed off the internet, it's like a win. But it's like, I don't want that, because I want these people to be able to express their ideas, because for the very reason they've built up an audience is because they're capable of expressing ideas.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like everyone, like I've seen that too. Like a lot of the commentary community likes to shame people. And like a lot of times it's people who are like against the SJWs doing the same exact thing to people. Like, you know how the SJWs don't like go and start shouting shame at somebody during a protest or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're doing the exact same thing. It's just on the internet. Like it's really like kind of hypocritical if you really think about it.
I agree. So that's why I've completely avoided it, and I've even avoided to the point where I'm not even going to go ahead and try to shame the people who are shaming people. Like, because to the end of the day, the best thing I got to do is just do what I'm doing, keep doing what I'm doing, which is just having conversations and providing stuff.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think part of that is like it's the low-hanging fruit. But also, so I don't forget, there was a guy who donated $2 in the super chat. That
was Lead Man. He donated $2, said to check Streamlabs. On Streamlabs, he donated another $4, and he would like to know, or rather, he says to Bunty, I'm looking for more freelance robot repairmen, and I know a bunch of people looking for more freelancers. What state are you in?
Freelance robot repairmen? I'm not in any state. I'm in Quebec. I'm in Canada. And I'm not really a repairman for robots. Trust me, you don't want me touching your robot. I'll fuck it up.
I think he's referring to you roboting on streams. I don't know how often that happens in your end. So,
roboting on streams? What do you mean?
You know how like when the connection gets bad. And
is it that right now? Is that happening?
No. You're good right now.
I think he's saying that maybe it happens to you more often on other streams.
Maybe it's because is it possible that he is Indian and he is saying something that he?
That's probably
Indian. He's a good tech repair guy.
Yeah. It's probably.
I think you guys are overanalyzing this.
Yeah. That's
that
right.
could be.
If it is, congratulations, man. You're the first person to make that joke this minute.
And we also have a $5 super chat from Mr. LM002. What? Did he say something?
I just go on with it. Schmeckel is roboting for some reason.
I think he's a robot, yeah. So he asks, have y'all tried the Hershey's Gold Bar? It is so damn good, and it has relatively
What is the Hershey's Gold Bar? What is it?
It's got like pretzel and like I think caramel or something like that.
Yeah,
I heard it was okay. I don't like pretzels though. too much.
I can't seem to justify pretzels in chocolate. I don't know. It's something about it just sort of rubs me the wrong
I
way.
can barely do peanuts and chocolate. Like I can barely eat a Snickers bar. Like I had to get over that whenever I was in like middle school because they would never give us any other candy, just besides the Snickers bar.
Really?
But, yeah, I mean like every other kid would like get like these awesome like fucking like Milky Way or something like that, and I would get like shitty Snickers, and I would always have to trade. So I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of doing this trade thing. I'm just gonna eat the Snickers bar and see what it's like. I was like, okay, this is fine for what it is.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out some way of working "Are you hungry? Here's a Snickers bar" joke, but
Yeah, I wasn't myself. I was definitely not myself when I'm hungry. So our topic tonight is: are there certain actions that are irredeemable in your eyes? While Schmeckel is out, we're gonna discuss that because he's roboting a little bit. So I'll start off with Samaj here. Samaj, do you think that there are certain actions that are irredeemable, and if so, what are those actions?
Are we just talking like stream related stuff, or are we just talking
anything? Let's go life. Okay, so we'll do life, and then like in general life, and then we'll do let's just go internet wise.
I mean, there's the obvious murder, rape, that kind of stuff. I mean, these things are pretty irredeemable. But if we're talking like, let's say community-related stuff like streams and whatnot, I mean, definitely doxing's high up on that list. I think that these are pretty irredeemable stuff. One of which we can look at the AIU situation. I mean, that guy was being pretty darn bad about his and vulgar and open with his dox stuff, and I don't know if he'll ever really recover from that. So, I mean, he's trying to.
Yeah, I mean, he was going so far with it that he was openly saying, "Yeah, I'll dox people," like that. It was really bad with that. Is there anything aside from doxing? Like, what else would you think would be irredeemable in like the community sense, or just online in general? Like internet, there's a certain, I guess, etiquette whenever you get on to certain places.
I would say being purposely disingenuous. I mean, there's one thing about saying, like, having your opinion on something, or saying, like, I don't really have all the information, but what I got, this is my opinion on this. I mean, that's being relatively honest. But if you're being purposely disingenuous, like you've seen, let's say, you've seen all this information and you're just sort of purposely misleading your audience, your viewers. I think that's very bad.
Does it only take one video or like one thing, or like is it just a prolonged thing for you?
Well, let's say someone makes one video and only one, and let's say like 5 months down the line they never address that topic ever again. Well, they could have easily been wrong and then just never, corrected themselves. Maybe because they couldn't be bothered or whatever. But I mean, and that's fairly harmless. I mean, well, to an extent, depending on what it is they're saying. But if they keep making a series of videos and they know that they're being disingenuous, well, then I think that's a pretty scummy thing to do.
Do you guys? I think that I agree. By the way, I think that like I feel like people often misconstrue being disingenuous with people who are not like as informed and refuse to kind of like say something or have an opinion on something. Or not say something because they want to be polite or want to be, diplomatic. And I think that that's kind of like an issue, right? Because there's definitely been situations where I haven't said something about someone because I want to keep being diplomatic. I don't want to bring it up because for me, it feels like it's not important enough because it doesn't bother me as much. Do you think that's being disingenuous?
I think that's well. I'll let Samaj go first.
My brain just fired on me. Sorry, just gotta get my place here. So you mean like you didn't address the certain topics just because you wanted to be
not certain topic? Well, this I think comes up in actually. So what was I going to say here? let's say there's a topic that people are talking about often, and I'm not able to think of one right now. But
I can.
You can? Okay, so you can, right? So there's a topic that people can think about right now.
The doxing server.
Yeah, there's that.
It's the most obvious one.
Well, people talked about that. I mean, people did, and I addressed it when it was happening. I was like, I just pretty much let people know what my involvement in was. I was like, there's that. No, there's addressing that which is important to you, because it was important to me that I had to address it. But there's other things like, for example, I guess like what certain people are doing with their platforms. You understand? Like, I'm not going to address it because I don't want to start that, because it's not as much of an issue for me. Other people are making it out to be an issue. All right. And those people who are making it out to be an issue will look at me and be like, well, you're being disingenuous right now. It's like, no, I'm not, because I don't view it as an issue. My personal experience in this situation would suggest that I do not think this is an issue. So I'm not going to spend time talking about it.
So
is that being disingenuous?
So like things like if you have somebody on your platform, like if you had someone who's like really scummy and then he does scummy shit, and then people are like, wow, you didn't call X person out after this happened, and
that's
like,
disingenuous of you, right? No, you know what? I had that guy on my platform. We talked about certain things and we connected on certain things. And I think, I'll go ahead and throw this out there. People always try to throw the interview I had with JF in my face, and I've had friends in real life watch that video. Okay, by the way, like for those of you guys that are completely aware, like people in real life watch my content, so it's like they know what I'm doing. All right, so these and their opinion matters to me like immensely, and it's like because I have to live with them, And so the fact that I've been able to do whatever I've been doing has been amazing. I've been like, holy shit, I've been able to just be me online and just talk the way I talk. And so anybody that sees me online, they just see me being me, right?
Mm.
So they saw this interview with JF and they were like, this is amazing. This is so cool, But then other people see this interview with JF and they're like, wow, and they're thinking about all the stuff that JF has said outside of that conversation, right? Stuff that like I find to be questionable, but I'm like, listen, what am I going to do? Am I going to go bother JF all the time because he says something that I don't agree with? Like, no, I found things that I kind of agreed with. I found common ground with JF. And one of those things is first of all, Quebec. We both live in Quebec. And I think I love Quebec, and I know that he loves Quebec. So there's that common ground that we've attained. And I think it's ridiculous that people like are seeing this and they're like, oh, why aren't you calling out? Like, fuck that. I'm not going to call people out. I'm not throwing people under the bus. I'm done with all that shit. Like, it's stupid, because if I'm going to do it to other people, then what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me the moment I decide, to do something that the majority of people disagree with? Well, if the majority of people disagree with it, it's probably because I was doing a bad thing. But like, if one person disagrees with, I don't want to have fucking people like his audience like lose his shit on me. Like, why?
Yeah, you don't want to have to answer to his audience and your, especially like when it's only like a very, very vocal minority. Yeah. This whole
thing with Jeff about like his this whatever was going on there with like his scandal and all that stuff. Like, I thought of asking or exploring that, but then before the interview, I'm telling you about an hour before, and I thought to myself, I'm like, what is going to be the benefit of talking to him about this?
Mm.
Is anything going to come out of it? And I was like, no. So I'm going to talk to him about other stuff because I'm not a fucking detective, all right? And as far as I'm concerned, he's still free. He's roaming the land. So that means that, the whatever judicial process he went through, he's cleared. So why the fuck do I need to play detective?
Yeah,
why do I need to be this guy that's going to go ahead and start exploring all these things and trying to fucking shut him down? I don't want to shut him down.
Well, I saw that happen a lot with your channel because like whenever you did, so the first instance I can think of was whenever I was actually in the chat and I was listening to people talk about Styx Hexenhammer. So whenever Styx is that whole pedo stuff or whatever was going on and the Holocaust denying accusations and stuff like that, people kept asking to ask him about it, and you were just like, chill with that. Now I completely understand that. I don't think it's disingenuous for you to do stuff like that, just like purposely not ask questions about that, because I think it's just at that point it's just a courtesy thing.
Oh, if people ask me why I'm not asking it, I'll tell them why I'm not asking it. I'll tell them because I don't give a shit, and it's really just that simple.
And that's up to you. Like, I think there's a huge difference there between you not wanting to ask questions that are going to be, for one, completely impolite, in my opinion, and for two, just totally off topic from what you're talking about. Like, you'll be talking about, like, you were talking to Sticks about, I think it was like VidCon or something like that. Like if he was going to VidCon, and then somebody in the chat was like, ask him about the Holocaust denial. Ask him if he thinks there was Auschwitz or something like that. It's just like, that's totally off topic.
Yeah,
like where that's just going to derive the conversation off to another.
It's people playing backseat driver on platforms that they aren't capable of attaining. All right. I'm going to sound a little bit elitist here. Okay. At the end of the day, people like myself, people like Andy Worski, people like Tonka Saw, people like, you guys, or anybody with a larger audience, they've been able to attain something that these regular viewers, right? Or not, I'm not gonna say regular viewers, actually the regular viewers are chill. These vocal minorities haven't been able to attain, So they're trying to drive our fucking platform. No, thank you. No fucking thanks.
Well, I think it's the same thing. I think there's the same thing on Twitter. I think you've noticed it as well. Like there'll be people in your tweets just like trying to, like you were talking to me the other day about that one person who tried to get you and Aiden in a fight, like that shit. Like
what the fuck? Is it crazy or what? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's such an insane thing to do. And people like that, I think are the more irredeemable, and that's if they're. I don't think they're irredeemable, obviously, but they're the more irredeemable in that situation than you not asking questions. I think, but getting back to Samaj's point about, misleading people, I think that's a huge part of why people are not okay with the mainstream media anymore, to be quite honest, because they've been misleading people for so long and misrepresenting the facts. And they've done it for so many years that people are just sick and tired of it. And I think that's why a lot of people are now seeing, well, this is completely, irredeemable at that point, because you'll go on CNN and watch something like, did you see what they did the other day with the Winter Olympics? Started talking about,
I know.
Kim Jong-un's son or whatever her name is, Kim Jong-un's sister, and just completely misrepresented what she was about.
I have a theory. Okay, my theory is that because they know that North Korea actually pays attention to Western media. They played up this thing where they're like, oh, they're doing so nice. They're so nice. They're being gracious in a way. They're being like almost fake nice, so that they, in almost a very effective manner, because you can see that there's a lot of people on board with it. There were definitely a lot of people on board with it. These normies were like, oh yeah, it's true. She's so pretty. Oh, it's like good. Oh my God, she's this, she's that. And it's almost like that, an attempt to kind of manipulate them into kind of being appreciative of the West and Western culture, and that knowing that, that's what I think. That's why.
What's insane is like they kept acting like like getting back to misrepresenting stuff. There's two instances of it that I can point out for sure. So I didn't know this before, but I was actually listening to one of the ambassadors for the UN from the US. He was talking about this on, I think it was Sean Hannity's show on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
He actually brought up the point. There have actually been two other joint Republic of Korea teams that have gone to the Olympics aside from this year, or maybe it's three, like three other ones aside from this one. And they were like in 2007 or 2008. Like they weren't that long ago. Like it's like they were just like a few years ago, and people just seem to forget about it once the Olympics are gone. They just don't think about it anymore. And the second thing is that they actually had somebody who was translating I think one of the North Koreans won like a medal or something like that. And they said, what's it like competing in, here in Pyeongchang? And they were like, it's like competing in heaven. It's like competing in heaven here. And the North Korean media's like changed it to, it's like competing in my country. They mistranslated it on purpose to make it seem like North Korea is such a fine and nice place, which is insane to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy. There was also this vlogger that did it in 2016, actually. He's like a travel vlogger. He went to North Korea and he was like showing all the nice parts of North Korea. And and he's like, look, it's really nice. And of course, it's just like a propaganda fest, and people were upset with him about that.
Yeah, exactly.
North Korea does suck, and
it was probably Jason Unruh to be.
The Kim dynasty are nasty, so
yeah.
So
don't really give a shit about these people.
Sorry about Paul, can you read that last super chat from Leet Man?
Yeah, I got it.
I think I'm gonna butcher it.
I got that, boy. Where's he at?
It was a $5 super chat.
Leet Man, my man. Leet Man says, I'm talking about actual pharmacy robots and network infrastructure freelancers, i.e. VoIP and DNS, Active Directory, and remote desktop support. So yes, it's a joke about his skin color.
Oh, it's a joke. Okay.
All right. I was trying to figure that out because I'm like, the fuck is he talking about?
You've been very in depth on that joke. I liked it. I very much like that joke.
A for effort.
That's maybe a little too autistic for me. So.
So here's one that I think is another one that I don't think you touched on so much, aside from the purposely misleading people for many videos and a long length, like a long period of time, and doxing, like releasing if you have like child porn or something like that as well. I think that's another one that hits both real life and
for sure.
On the internet. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, big time.
It's absolutely disgusting. I thank Nicole for bringing that up because I would have completely skipped over that, to be quite honest with you. But it is very disgusting when somebody does something like that, especially if they aren't caught for it. Even if they're not caught, that's even worse because we want to get those guys whenever they aren't.
But there's one thing that I've kind of stay away from are the mobs that kind of like try to actively search for their next target. Because those people creep me out as well. The people who are like constantly like on the hunt, and I think that's a little bit, you know, because obviously, yeah, it's like people who definitely care about kids, but at the same time, I just feel like it's some people with some major issues that are just like on this quest, and this I guess can apply to absolutely anything, any kind of like witch hunts. I think mob mentality, like people who actively participate in mob mentality, knowing that they're actively participating in mob mentality, like knowing that there's maybe some doubt to whatever they're doing, but they still do it because it feels good. I think that's also pretty morally reprehensible, in my opinion.
Especially when you're making terrorist threats, similar to what was going on with Andy Worski and what.
That was happening. What?
Oh, about the Hasbro situation.
That wasn't that just one big meme?
At that point it was a big meme, but after a while it felt like this bandwagon's been going on for quite some time now. They're going to actually think you're a terrorist.
No, they don't. There's no way.
Oh yeah, well I didn't see any news articles about that, so it probably worked out for the best.
Yeah. By the way, welcome to Dolphin Radio.
Hey, thanks, Bud. How you guys doing?
Chill,
What's
man.
up, Bunty?
You sound like sounds like Tonka.
Oh, thanks a lot. I appreciate the compliment, asshole.
He's just an intellectual.
No, that's not. That's an actual. I mean, Tonka's got a good voice, dude. You actually have like a smooth voice.
I think I hear him screaming too often to agree too much there.
Well, he's not wrong. I think Tonka's got a bit of a deeper voice.
Yeah.
And also, Dolphin's a dad, and he has dad jokes, so that's different.
I try to be punny.
Cool.
Please stop.
So you guys mentioned doxing. I mean, like, so you say that those are like things that you can't actually like come back from, in your opinion?
I don't think it's a matter of you coming back from it. I think it's a matter of how the general populace of, especially not the internet, but like especially your viewers. I think it's the general opinion of like what your viewers think after you do it. Because if we're going to take like the Kraut and T situation, for instance, let's look at the main guys behind that. Like Kraut lost 15,000 subscribers. Jeff lost like 12,000. Who's the other one? Like Sandre and a few others. They lost a lot of these subscribers that had been there for many years. And it's caused like such a deep fracture, because me and you were talking about this the other day about how the community seems to be falling apart, but it's caused such a deep fracture, not only between communities, not only between like bigger names, it's causing problems between like people who I literally just today had somebody who I had been talking to for about a year on this platform block me because I called out Crowd again because he posted some stupid shit, and they blocked me on Twitter because I disagreed with them and asked them about something that they had said, and then they said I was defensive and being defensive about it, and like it just went from there. Like, you know, it's not even a situation. Like, I don't want anyone to get this wrong. I absolutely despise protecting the alt-right. I love some of the people in it. Some of the people are very nice people. I just don't like the alt-right. That's just me. But whenever you do something like this to this magnitude, and we've talked about this to death, let's be honest. Everybody in here's talked about it to death. Mm-hmm. Whenever you go this far with it, you double down after you've been caught lying about it. You come back after 3 months of being gone, double down again on a live stream where somebody's tossing you softball questions. And you sit here and you wonder why people don't want to listen.
Who was on a live stream?
It was like Masandri Today or someone like, he was a big Tao guy. But like it was Kraut. Kraut came on and was just asking, like the guy was asking him softball questions. But aside from that, whenever you sit there and you do this stuff, it really makes people have a lower opinion about you. Kraut used to be one of my better friends on here until he started doing this shit. Like I welcomed him back after he left about the whole what's her face? What was her name?
Rage After Storm?
Gretchen from Recess. Yeah, Rage After Storm. That's her name. So I got welcome back and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, man, hopefully you get over this. And what's he do? 2 months later, he's doing the same exact shit, but he's doing it on a bigger scale.
Well, I think that there's a lot of unspoken social contracts in this world. You have, just unspoken ways that you interact with each other. And when you're on the internet, it doesn't need to be said that I'm not going to tell people where to go find you. And what's the end game of doing that? There is nothing good that can come from telling the whole world where to find you, what your family looks like. Oh, yeah, here's this kid and a list of his fears. No, that doesn't do anybody any. It's not going to benefit anyone. And you cannot tell me that anybody would do that with anything other than malicious intent or the hope of malicious intent.
I agree. Yeah.
And so.
I think another bad thing, and this comes back to is also like another social contract is lying about something, when or like lying about a situation or personal encounter, when that it's not what it is, or trying to get to the point where you convince yourself that it's how you think it is.
Yeah, and I was kind of going in that direction with that, and when you do it like the doubling down, like what Pod was talking about, what you were just talking about there, you lose that integrity, and everybody is left with this.
Bad for them if they would have just admitted it off the bat. Like I might have been able to possibly very long from now forgive them for that, but it's the fact that I had several streams on there, had people from that server on who were actually investigators from the server who lied to my face. I looked at the recordings. I looked at every single thing that Edgy had put out. I talked to other people who were in the servers. And what I found out is that none of their fucking stories were matching up. None of them were matching up with the evidence. It wouldn't have been as bad if they would have just been like, yeah, you know what, guys, we doxed like 2 people in here. We shouldn't have done it. I did something bad. It was Zeph and Kraut and whoever else. It was them. I wouldn't have been as mad at people when that.
I'd have been a lot more impressed if somebody had stepped up and said, "It was me. I did it. I screwed up."
Yeah,
it was Zeph and Kraut, and they were. No, I don't want to hear your excuse. Just step up, say, "I did this. It was a bad decision, and I should probably not do it again. I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna cool off, and then when I come back, hopefully, I'll be a decent person." Exactly.
I think that some of the people who got really salty over this was also due to the Jeff's video, his stream, which was just a rickroll.
Oh my god, that was the most annoying thing ever.
I think well, people had legitimate concerns, and he was treating it like a joke, and I think that's what got people a bit. Well, it really wound them up. It really did.
Yeah. That's literally one of the things.
But I think I did that too. I don't know if you guys saw that video where I was like, the skeptics. That was an inopportune moment for me to kind of make that video. But I was sitting in the McDonald's drive-thru, and I was like, man, all I've heard for the last, because I didn't know the full extent of what was happening. I really didn't. Like, I didn't know, like, I just knew that some people were trying to find people's information, and like, there was just a lot of stuff all over the place, and it's due to my ignorance. So I decided to make that video, but I'd been hearing like the alt-right always talking about the skeptics over and over again. And my mentions would always be full of people like, you're just one of the skeptics. And like, I was like, I got to do this video. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect video. I'm just like alt-right Twitter, just say the skeptics for a full minute straight in the McDonald's drive-thru,
That's the thing, right? It's just, I don't like the alt, like I was saying earlier, I don't like the alt-right. I don't like defending them. Whenever you do something that's as depraved as doxing their personal information to win an argument on the internet.
Yeah, I know.
That's where I draw the line, man. Yeah. Like, that's so silly.
Yeah, but what I was trying to say is that I don't think Jeff was a loner. I feel like I have some blame to take on there for not making light of a situation unknowingly. I didn't really know how freaked out people were about this because I once again was so like distanced from that server to begin with that like I didn't know the extent of what was in there. I didn't know how many addresses they had. I still don't know, like what they had, like 3 people or something like that, or regardless, they had like addresses, and I had no idea. I just thought they were like on the process of getting it done, and they were doing stuff, and they're just like so fucking stupid.
Yeah, like I said from the beginning, like it's not the matter of them having the server to debate the alt-right's points. I've asked Aiden Paladin and JF Gary Pay and all these other people like about what. Then yeah, I know they're obviously not alt-right, but they believe in what, or they listen to what the alt-right has to say, and I'm not capable of listening to them sometimes. So I just go to them for like a quick little rundown of it. I've learned more from talking to them than I ever learned from watching a Kraut video. Like I know, it's no fault. Yeah, it's far more. It's a far better idea to go to somebody who actually talks with them and listen to them. Than going to a server where you're supposed to be breaking down stuff, and instead you dox people.
Well, I think joining that server just was a mistake right from the get-go, not just because of what it turned out to be, but because now, in the last couple of months, I've been able to kind of reformulate my positions in regards to producing content, right? And the content that they were trying to produce was pretty much just content to pretty much debunk and shame the alt-right off of YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you're dumb. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Like, that was the point of it, right? And I think that is the wrong way to go about it. And I was wrapped up in this game where, it was just trying to be the best or the smartest or like the coolest dude on the platform. And I think that's just, I think it's the total wrong approach. And so I joined the server. I'm like, okay, the alt-right don't like me. Which I don't know if it's not necessarily is even necessarily true, because I know there's people. I have some people in the alt-right that watch me and are like regularly come to my streams and say hi and are really chill. Mm-hmm. So it's like another thing I realize is that in terms of treating, like you said, you don't like the alt-right. Same. I'm not a big fan of the alt-right. I'm also not a big fan of like the far left stuff, Mm-hmm. But I have to approach everyone that's coming at me, even if they prescribe to alt-right ideologies, as individuals, because I'm saying like, look, why would I say like, oh, you can't judge people based on the group, and then I go around judging people based on the group? It's just not.
Exactly. Well, that's the other thing, right?
It's not right. I was doing it a lot.
You don't really know who the alt-right is. Like, whereas far leftists all have like similar characteristics. There's alt-righters. There's alt-righters who have been called alt-righters since Trump got elected. Like, that's the thing I think a lot of people forgot. Like the alt-right label.
No, I disagree with what you just said there. Like, I think there's like on both sides of the spectrum, you have people who prescribe to specific ideologies, but they're not like everybody that prescribes that ideology. It just makes no sense. Like, look, I was talking to oh my God, forget his name. That's so funny. That was really deep. Muke, I think I saw him Muke, and Zegzizi. Anyway, that's his channel.
Zegzizi, yeah.
Zegzizi. Okay, and it was like a normal conversation. Like, this is a guy who I had a conversation with, who I know that if, let's say, he was capable of like attaining power, probably wouldn't put me up against a wall. And that's the thing. Like, he's of that leftist thinking. But like he's not like the cookie cutter communist, like send non-believers to the fucking gulag kind of shit. That's not what he does. He did say he just supports deplatforming. He does support that, and I was like, whoa, I disagree. But in regards to like being a human being, he didn't reflect what I normally would think of a cookie cutter communist. And I think that's the same thing on both sides. I've had full blown. At one point at like 4 a.m, I was just watching Rome, the HBO series. And I just finished watching an episode, and I got a message from a dude. I'm not going to name his name because it's just silly to do that. But we had an hour-long conversation about his talking points and what I thought of his talking points. And like, I asked him questions. One of the questions I said was like, "Would you deport me? Would you strip me of my citizenship and not allow me to stay in my homeland?" And he said, I would make you a permanent resident. And I was like, okay, but I wouldn't be technically a Canadian. I would be just a permanent resident of Canada. And I disagreed regardless, because I like the fact that I'm Canadian, but It's like, I got that answer out of him, and that answer may not be reflective of what other alt-righters may think, but it's reflective of what he thinks. And I think I think that's the importance, is like, you can't just assume that all of them are just either lying or that all of them are want some kind of crazy war.
That's why I think a lot of people like Crowd, aside from his ridiculous biology study of pregnant trout. Aside from that, I think that's the biggest part of it, because they're trying to generalize a group of individuals who they don't really believe all the same. Like, I've talked to alt-writers who are white supremacists, and I've talked to alt-writers who just want like cultural supremacy. Like, they'll call themselves, I think they're I have a friend who's does podcasts. I'm not gonna say his name, but he's a what the fuck's the name of it? A nationalist libertarian, I think he calls it.
Yeah,
so they believe in a libertarian economy, but like it's just like a cultural,
Yeah, it's like that. How can I hear those talking points and like disagree with it? Like, I want a ruling culture. There is a ruling culture in Quebec. It's French culture, and I want to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. I like that, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, how am I gonna it's like if someone were to come up to me and tell me like, oh, you think that French culture should be the dominant culture in Quebec? Wow, you're totally like just totally rubbing shoulders with Nazis. Like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, the reason why Quebec is as great as I think is as great as it is because it has that ruling culture. Because things, because people know exactly where to look when it comes to the law or when it comes to like social norms. They look to this one culture. It's not, they don't look to like a dozen different cultures to kind of figure out which one they think's best. It's like, this ruling culture is what's been the culture for the longest time. And this is what it is. There's just history here, respect it. And I think that's so important. And I think that people kind of forget that. And ultimately, as we start to communicate more and more, we're going to start figuring out like that, where our cultures cross over and how we can kind of continue to work with each other without eliminating each other. We're ultimately looking towards a future in which we can avoid like hurting each other. I think that's where a lot of these issues and frustrations come from, because people feel frustrated because they don't have this like they're not leading the happiest lives because they're because of some kind of like social issue, right? But at the same time, they want to be able to lead that life without having to kind of hurt somebody else, or without having to kind of. It's rare that people have this level of hatred in their heart where they're ready to go and kill. They're ready to be like, yes, let's go ahead and have a war. Let's wipe everyone out. Like, wipe the people that aren't like me off the planet.
I honestly don't think that's what it is, Bunty. I think it's more that a lot of people confuse justice with retribution. And a lot of people seem to have this mindset that in order to lift myself up, I need to put other people down. Mm-hmm. And it's so prevalent that it really affects the way people behave toward each other.
Let me ask you both this, because I've met alt-writers in real life, and then I've talked to ones online. At least from my observations, it seems that the people who are alt-right in real life are, there are the occasional wackadoos, but it seems like the ones who are in real life are a bit less bloodthirsty than the ones online. Do you think it's because they are online and anonymous for the most part that they're like that? Because I certainly do myself. But
yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely a factor. And the anonymity allows them to kind of express themselves, the best and worst parts of themselves. For me, when I started off on YouTube, it allowed me to start expressing the best parts of myself, like the more confident, the more like jokey, the more like chill side of me. And then I would realize it was working, and then people in real life were noticing. So I adopted fully. Like, I fully adopted whatever persona I was online, right? So I think that a lot of people, and this is something that I actually spoke to Aiden Paladin about. She mentioned like that, people kind of utilize their personas in a way to like test things out, in a way to test out like something that they would consider fitting into. And it is a little worrying that if like someone is using that to kind of just be this crazy racist dude, that like that's what he wants to be. But at the same time, like I don't know how you would apart from I don't know how you'd break that personality out of like your small group setting, because you can't, because most people are going to be like, whoa, we don't want no, we don't want that. It's like, whoa. The moment you put blood on the table and you're like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna eliminate these people. Like, people are gonna be like, all right, I don't know about this. I don't know. I would say even the most hardened racists would be like, wait, I have to kill a bunch of people, and they'd be like, I don't know.
Especially, I think the internet race are or at least they're little bit more hesitant if it was in real life. But I do want to I want to touch on the alt-right at a later point. But I do want to say this. This goes for everybody. Yeah, if you're listening, I do want you guys like if anything you grasp with this, I would say if you're dealing with the alt-right or leftists or whoever it might be that you disagree with, I would say deal with them as an individual and not a collective, because whenever you argue against generalizations, people tend to not, like I was talking to a guy the other day who was saying like all libertarians want everything to be like open borders and stuff like that. I was like, hold on, man.
Whoa,
I was like,
up.
hold on, man. That's not me. I'm not like that. It's kind of hard to, especially whenever you hear the label that somebody puts on themselves. Like if they call themselves alt-right or they call themselves a libertarian or a leftist or something like that.
I think we saw a really good version of this not too long ago in the phrase. So what you're saying is,
oh yeah, with Jordan Peterson. So
and I think that that's something a lot of people do is they hear you say, for example, I would say that I think that women were conned into believing that joining the workforce was somehow empowering. Like men are here, we know we're trying to tell you, no, it's not really empowering to throw away 40 hours of your life every week for a handful of dimes.
So what you're saying is
exactly. I have eaten more crow over that one statement than anything else.
But you shouldn't, because you say it in the most you say it in such a way that like makes a lot of sense. Like, you're not saying that women shouldn't, but you're saying that
no, it's not empowering. It's a con. They conned you into joining the workforce so they could get lower wages because there's more employers now. So
that's interesting. I never really thought of it that way. I've always that's a really interesting argument. I definitely would love to talk about that with some people at IRL, like figure out that.
Yeah, I have a stay-at-home wife, and I love her to death, but oh my God, sometimes I just dream about her job. Like, can we just switch, for a couple of weeks?
I would love to be a stay-at-home dad. Are you kidding? Oh my God.
And then you think about all these women saying, oh, being a stay-at-home mom is it's a terrible thing. No, it's fucking not. It's paradise. What the hell is wrong with you?
It was fucking great. Yeah, I work from home. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I love it.
You're a stay-at-home dad?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's so good. I think part of the reason why I want to be a stay-at-home dad is because I didn't get to really appreciate those moments with my father, as other kids I felt got to. Even though like I don't really know a lot of kids that had stay-at-home dads, but my relationship with my parents was always very, because they're Indian parents, they don't have that level of like that bond in a way with their children. It's very much like a very parent-child bond. It's like I'm here to guide you through life. I'm here to cook for you, take care of you, and like that's it. That's me showing you my love, as opposed to like doing that extracurricular stuff. And that's something that I really missed out on. And I felt like I want to be able to catch up on that, and also like be able to kind of bro out if I had a son, like bro out with him, like play some fucking games, like chill with him, on the weekends or just during the day. It's fucking, I love that, and I think that's so cool.
There's a lot of fathers out there who often work too hard, and they don't always get to see their kids grow up because they're always spending time making money. Like when I think about that kind of concept with the whole stay-at-home mom, sometimes that's always the saddest thing, especially if you have like, let's say like a bunch of kids, like 4 kids, and you have a stay-at-home mom. Well, I mean, that's a lot of money you got. That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Seriously, A2 Samaj, A2. Right in the back, buddy. Right in the back.
You stabbed him like
Brutus.
Come on.
That was harsh.
I'm just saying. Sometimes there's concern. Things aren't as cheap as they used to be, and
this is true. Well, and here's the problem with that is that if you got a good job as a man and you get a good paying job, even if you got like 3 kids. If your job's good enough, or you want to be a good enough man, you're gonna work harder to provide for your family. At least in my thoughts, that's how I see it.
And you kind of rationalize it in your head by saying, "Well, I'm setting the example that they're gonna have to follow."
Well, like I say, like if you have those kids and you do have to work harder to make sure you feed them all, that's less time you get to spend with them, and that does create a kind of like a void in the kids' lives. It's not always the case. There are times you can make good money and have time with family as well. Some guys are able to achieve that, but not every guy can.
Well, that void is important. It happens to the dad too, and when it reaches a certain point, he just cracks and says, "Nope, I'm taking vacation time." And that, not all of us break down like that, I think, but most of us do.
So, some guys do, and in other cases, it's not really all that big of a deal. But sometimes also, I often hear stories about like the wife saying like, "You gotta make more money. Don't come home until you make more money," and all that stuff. And
see, that's people who are not happily married, and I have no idea. I have no idea what their lives are like.
Yeah, that's great, man. I'm actually happy to hear that you have a swell life.
Yeah, I saw a tweet, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I saw a tweet today by Ranting Monkey it just cheered me, like, because I was sitting here, I'm subscribed to Wizard of Cause, and of course he's just tweeting out Valentine's Day wizard shit, which is life is terrible, everybody hates you, love is an illusion. And then I see Ranting Monkey, and he throws out something about being happily married for X amount of years, and like he still loves his wife, and I was just like, I love you, dude. You give me hope. I love you. It really warmed up my day, Monkey.
There does come a point when the hope is all you got, and that's good.
This is true. This is true. Schmeckle.
Yeah.
Hey, are the two other guys coming on?
I'm not sure yet. They're gonna pop in if they can.
Okay, cool. All right, just wondering.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that like I was just thinking about what you guys were saying when you guys were talking about families and providing for them. On my 30th birthday, man, like just this week, I was fucking miserable, man. I spent most of it in bed, and I feel like a lot of that had to do with the fact that I'm definitely not where I wanted to be when I'm 30. I remember when I was 21, 22, I was in a committed relationship with a girl, and we were living on our own together, and it was amazing. And this is a girl that I planned a life with, and it ended because we ended up going separate ways, and it was a very mutual breakup, and it was so perfect. Like, honestly, like I've never, like, it's the best breakup anyone could ever have, to the point where like we both realized it wasn't working. We have different life goals, and then we went our own way. And she's still a part of my life in the sense that like I can call her up for advice, or she can call me up for advice anytime. It's perfect. But I recently, like, in 2016, I ended up like linking up with a girl who I fell in love with, and it was crazy, man. Like I never felt this kind of love before. Like, it was insane. It was like love that I felt could literally just topple out. I didn't give a fuck about anything. I didn't care. Like, if she was around, I didn't care. It was not, like, no problem. And that's a powerful feeling. And I felt like anytime she provided, anytime she was able to kind of provide me, and she would do it without me even asking, any kind of like, compliment or something like that. It just shot me up. I was like, holy fuck, I did good, And it was reflective in my work. Like, my work was good. My work was so much better. Like, if you look at the stuff that I produced in 2016, I did this series called Bunty Bits, and it was just like good. It was like a blast. You could tell that I gave a shit about it. And then eventually, like in about 6 months into the relationship, she dumped me, and it was so out of the blue. I was fucked. And 2 months later, we started talking again, and then we're in the middle of talking on a FaceTime call, and she like starts crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? Because I was happy because we were talking again, and we were like, she dumped me because she felt like she was too depressed and she wasn't able to handle it, and there was something off about it. Looking back on it, obviously now I think there's something off about it. And then finding out what I found out that through her that she was in another relationship for over 2 years while she was dating me, and that fucking dude, I'm telling you, like, finding that out last year destroyed me. And it's been something that I've carried with me like since all the way through. So December, with all the shit going on, I got into a relationship with a girl in December, and this is right after the Rubin report showed up. Immediately, like, started a relationship with this girl. We went on one date, and it was like I felt good, but then I crashed hard, and I ended up having to break up with her after Christmas because I wasn't happy. And I've had to deal with so much pain in the last year that I haven't talked about really. And I've just been, trying to be happy and just focusing on the things that are doing well. that now that I'm 30, I'm thinking about all the shit that's happened. I'm looking at the fact that I don't have kids, that I don't have a well-paying job, and that I'm just like kind of like I'm like struggling, and that's just not what I've seen myself. So like it's like so, it's been so. When I hear about people who have been able to like do it for themselves, or like her parents, it's not like I'm envious, but it's like it's just sad. It's sad that I haven't achieved that yet, because I've felt like I've been capable of achieving it, but life has just been shitting on me routinely in regards to this one aspect. Everything else, I'm good. I can go and I can talk to people on the street, like no problem. I don't even know the person. I can just talk to them. I can get a job if I really wanted to, like a random job, but I don't want to do that random job. I don't want to do like a traditional marketing job. I want to do stuff on YouTube. I want to be able to like create content. That's the kind of stuff that I want to do, but it's been crazy,
Well, you also, I think you can look
Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Fuck, that's annoying.
Dude, you're good. You are
No,
good.
dude, no, dude. We look. The Schmeckel, by the way, is YouTube's Dr. Phil. We have a great table for dumping your purse out on. It's fine, man. It's fine.
Exactly. Now, I would say this. Let's look at this from the other perspective. So you're a male, I would assume. I haven't seen your genitals, but I
don't want to assume.
I want to see my genitals.
No,
I said
show me your genitals.
If I showed you genitals,
nobody turn that down. Let the man show his genitals.
Littlebot, if I sent you a picture of my penis in the DMs, what would you do? Would you report me as a sexual harasser? Would you start a hashtag Me Too movement in the skeptic community?
Hashtag dox those
right
dicks.
my eyes.
What if I sent you a picture of my dick and I said, if you show this to anybody, I'm gonna fucking kill you?
Once again, hashtag dox those dicks.
Hashtag dox the dick. Oh,
All
man.
right, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to,
No,
I wanted to bring up the vibe. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. So that's the good thing about being a male in that situation, is that unlike a female, you usually have a lot longer fertility. So you can have kids pretty much at any point in your life, man. Like that's, you gotta look. Yeah,
I don't have this old dad. My dad's
old.
Me. I talk to my dad about things. He doesn't even know what the fuck's going on.
Bro, here's the thing. I joined the military whenever I was 17. I went to basic training in AIT whenever I was 18. The biggest thing I wanted to do whenever I got out was get married to my high school girlfriend, have kids, get a good job. None of those three things happened for me.
She was.
I am now 22, almost 23, and I have finally now completed one of those goals, which is get a good job, and that's why I'm moving to DC. You have to think, not you gotta you look at the moment.
You're playing
look
a
at the
long
moment.
game, dude.
Yeah, you look at the moment and it sucks. I get it. Trust me, I've been in that situation. I'm in sort of like that situation right now, but you got to look at it from the longer perspective. You have college degree, yes?
Yeah.
So you have a college degree.
Yes.
You've got a burgeoning YouTube career. Very good YouTube channel.
It's okay.
You got the personality of a fucking saint.
Oh, thank you.
Everything's, you got to look at the positives in life. And I think people sweat the small stuff. They don't really think about that.
But it really isn't the small stuff, because like, when I see like YouTubers who have like these crazy, like if I look at a Logan Paul, and he's got this massive house, and I'm like, that looks like for me that looks like a shit time for me.
Yeah, but
dude. 90% of that is Disney money.
I know, I don't care about that. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, I've never been, maybe not. I can't say I've never been. When I was younger, I really wanted like a big house. But as I got older, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want this shit, because I know that like that's not happiness for me. Happiness for me is like is being able to attain something that is sustainable. Is like something that will allow me to kind of explore a variety of opportunities, and just not have to worry about like being hassled all the time. So having a nice little home.
Yeah, man. But here's the thing: you got to look at. Would you rather be? Would you rather be?
I thought of it.
Honestly, isn't it an appealing job?
It is. It is a bit of an appealing job, but actually, I don't think it's that appealing, because I'm not. I am the like. You know how you have like blue collar workers, right? I'm
Yeah.
like the complete opposite of blue. I'm like a guy that wants
You're a
to
white
just.
collar worker.
I'm big time white collar. Like, and I'm not saying that that's like blue collar work is bad. I think there's plenty of blue. Like, I think it's very honest jobs, honest jobs. But I've always like, I like doing big things. So the idea is that like I've not been, while I do like doing big things, I still want to have like a life that's cozy. It's a cozy life and life in a community.
Here's the thing: would you rather, like you were talking about Jake Paul? Would you rather be Jake Paul, who has to be fake almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the last 3.5 years since he got onto the Vine? Would you rather be that and be miserable, or would you rather be Bunty King, have a decent sized channel,
be miserable,
hold on,
and be a little bit happier with yourself, and actually be true to yourself?
Has anybody in this chat ever dated an actress?
Never.
Porn actress, yes.
A what?
A porn actress.
You did? Okay, that's not a real actress.
Okay.
I mean, like
Never
a
mind.
real actress. Like
I think that's like double real actress. That's like the
realest actress.
Yeah, that's like crazy. Like
Yeah, acts like it's fun to have sex all the time.
Yeah.
Reality TV is not. Anyway, my point is, I've dated several actresses, and my advice is, if you ever get the opportunity, run like hell. Run like hell. Stick your head in the sand and pretend like you never met her. But no, don't date actresses. Because that's the thing about people like Jake Paul, people that are actors. They don't actually have a personality. Pod, you talk about being fake. They're not fake. They're being real. They're being legitimate when they're acting all over the place because they don't have a personality. So they just grab pieces of the people around them and they slap it all together.
That's a bomb
and go.
right there. I never thought about it that way.
They're not fake. They're just empty, and that's it.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really and if you watch them and the people that they hang around, you'll see how their personalities put together. You'd be like, oh, they got that person's like this and this person over here they pulled this from, and like they really are just a compilation of the people around them, and they don't know anything about themselves.
That's a deep insight. This is why
it's true. Like, dude, I understand that. I totally do. What I'm not trying to say, and I really hope people don't think like, oh, I want Logan Paul's life. I don't want that. I don't want that vibe. I don't want like to have to deal with people who are going to have to act a certain way in public. That's definitely not what I want. I think what's made it hard for me is that I have made this 100% attempt at being the most authentic I can be in public, right? And talk about anything. Be able to talk about anything. Like even if it's something that makes other people uncomfortable, be able to talk about it in a way that's palatable and people can kind of like still kind of talk to me about it. I find it really hard to meet someone who can be at that level. And I think that's really hard because it's first of all a lot of stress to put on a woman. I feel just, now you have to be not like, it's like, oh, you're dating me now? Okay, well, you have to understand that like I've got like, I've got 50,000 followers on Twitter and I've got, 50,000 subs. So you're going to need to know that like, there's going to be like a bunch of people that are going to see what we're doing all the time. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, shit. That's got to make it a little awkward.
It does. And I don't want to hide any element of myself from the world. I'm really like, and I think it's crazy that I've taken this thing. I don't want to do that. It's like, obviously like private conversations between people who, want to remain private. Obviously, I'm not going to try to expose anything like that. I'm not going to try to do that. But it's like when it comes to me and my life, that needs to be that. I feel like that in order for me to be able to talk about the things I do, it needs to be public. It needs to be like, and that includes my relationship. That includes like my like future kids. Like they're going to see it. The internet is probably going to watch my kids grow up if I have children.
Well, that's only if you want to share that. I mean, there are certain YouTubers out there who have a family. They never actually tell you much about them. They're always very vague. Like one example being like the hosts on the Rooster Teeth podcast. Some of them date, and a lot of them I don't know anything about their spouses except their name, and that's about it.
Mm.
And
yeah. I mean, you guys have never spoken to or heard from my wife. And she's just called Lady Dolphin for
Yeah.
None of us. Are you sure, Dolphin Radio?
I am absolutely positive.
100% sure.
Because you wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be what? I wouldn't be.
I don't want to put out
Say-
open threats on the
Youngest
internet.
curly ass hair.
I respect that. I respect that level.
I'm highly jealous, and if you saw my wife, you'd understand. You'd be like, yeah, dude, I got you.
Yeah, I see. I'm not. I've never been the jealous type because I'm very trusting, super trusting. This experience with that girl, the fact that she was dating someone else the entire time while I was dating, that fucked me up. Like that was like for me a major loss of innocence because every relationship I went into, I would be like, I would just assume that I'm the one for them. Like that's it. Like there's nobody else because it's most definitely the case for me with them. You know, like there's no other woman that will be able to approach me while I'm in a relationship with someone and be able to kind of make that happen. Like I don't do that. What was I gonna say? Fuck.
Well, when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, you're speaking from your point of view, and often from their point of view, it could be a very different thing, and you don't know what's inside their head.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
now, whenever I ask a girl out, or I just always ask them if they have a boyfriend first. Like, that's one thing I immediately ask. I ask if they have a boyfriend. Do you have a boyfriend? And they'll be like, yes or no, and I'll be like, okay.
No, sir, Mr. Bunty King. I'm single as a Pringle.
Yeah.
Well, and even at that, you have to trust they're being honest about that stuff because who knows? You might tell them, "Oh yeah, I got this many subscribers, this many, all that stuff." They might think of that like, "Oh,
yeah.
Can I be on your stream? Or can I be on your show?"
You know what you could do? You could join the U.S. military and be like, "Hey bitch, I got some basic allowance for housing here if you want some. I got some free healthcare here. I got the hookups on weapons. You know what I'm saying?"
Are you guys all from the States? All stateside?
No,
the only
Yes.
only me. And
Actually, I'm actually Texan.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
it's
Texan.
just-
Okay.
I think it's just Pod and Dolphin. The rest of us are Canadians.
You're from Canada. That's sick.
Oh yeah. Although
Oh,
I
shit.
mean, I don't know how Canadian you could be if you're from the Quebec side of things. That's
Yeah, Destruction Jenkins. I don't have a
we're
girlfriend.
literal Canadians. We speak both languages.
You know what's funny?
You speak both official languages of Canada, which is French and English.
Hey Bunty, you wanna get let in on a secret?
What's up?
I've seen Samaj's real face IRL.
Oh, really? Does he look like his avatar?
Yeah, he's a monkey.
No. You remember Jared from Subway before he lost all the weight?
That's
Picture.
He doesn't
Wow.
look anything like
That's
that.
fucked up. That is fucked up, man.
I am not that fat. I am offended, sir. I am at least
Pleasantly
like
plump. Okay.
If I generally speaking, unless if I call someone a fatty, that means I like him. You know, so if I don't call you a fatty, that means you gotta. If you've had an interaction with me, if there's someone in the audience that's had an interaction with me, if I haven't called you fat yet, it's still
He hates you. That's what he
It doesn't
said.
mean I hate you. It means that I'm undecided.
If he calls you skinny, it means he hopes you die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, it really depends. It depends on the tone. You know, it depends on the tone. If I call someone fatty, like that what's that guy's name? That fucking what's his fucking name?
Brooks.
Fuck, that guy's fat. But also the other that guy's fat.
Boogie.
No, Boogie is like
Billy
Boogie's
the Fridge.
Billy the Fridge is like amazing fat. You know what I mean? Like Billy the Fridge is like
Logan.
Kevin Logan. I called him fat.
Politipod.
Yeah, you're definitely a fatty. No, I was thinking of what's his name? Fuck.
Ricky Berwick.
Oh, Ricky Berwick. Ricky Berwick's a fucking goblin.
Did I tell you what that motherfucker did to me today?
Slug. I don't know. Probably just something disgusting. He's fucking gross. I'm seeing him on Friday. I'm so not ready.
Did I tell you what this motherfucker did to me earlier today?
What did he do?
I was in there being a fucking dickhead, and I was just like, "Oh, dude, Ricky Berwick's in here." Oh shit! I dropped my mic. I was like, "Dude, Ricky Berwick's in here. Ricky, you're famous. Can you tell me how to pick up women?" He's like, "Yeah, man. Just like show him your dick."
You put your hands around the waist and you lift.
Yo, you know what's crazy about Ricky? Think about this, right? He can get a fully formed boner.
Really?
Oh, if you think about it, right? I mean, he told me he says I can have a boner. He's like I get a boner.
I don't want to think about
I never
it.
even
Why
thought
would
of
you
his
bring
boner.
that up in
Like,
here?
imagine like every part of his body is just like weird, but his boner is the one perfect. Like imagine if imagine if Ricky had a golden penis. Like that's the case. He's the guy that's like everything else is like you know, just Ricky, but this penis is like full blown like Ron Jeremy style.
For those of you who don't know who Ricky is, just look up Ricky. He's the second one on there.
Yeah.
He actually, I don't live far away from Ricky. There's a guy down though who looks a lot. No, I'm maybe 2 hours away.
Oh, it's still pretty far. Damn. Okay, because I'm gonna be there on Friday. You know, it was like on Friday and Saturday.
That's the Ricky Berwick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in that cannabis documentary?
Mr. I want to put cookies up my bum and eat them.
Was he, what guy in the cannabis was? Or are you saying Ricky was in the cannabis documentary?
No, I was making a joke. There's a guy with like muscular dystrophy in a cannabis documentary where he's shaking and then like he takes a hit and he like slows down.
There's so many fucking pictures of Ricky.
I know, right?
I fucking just can't.
Man, I'm gonna do. I really want. I fucking wish I had money. I'd fucking get. I wanted to get the fake Ricky. I wanted to get the fake, like doll. All right, it's like a human-sized doll, and I wanted to toss Ricky off frame from a camera, and then I wanted to transition it to him throwing him off of the building. I really wanted to be the cake. I would love to I want to get like I've really thought of doing like Filthy Frank style shit, where it's just like there's actual lore and I thought of like killing Ricky in episode 1 of like the lore.
You should ask Schmeckel about killing our characters. He killed himself in one episode.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
He rose 3 days later.
Yeah, he rose like Jesus out of the ashes, and ever since that,
it actually took me 4 days. I'm not quite as on schedule as Jesus.
You know what's amazing?
Yeah, well, I mean, you were drunk for half
Mr.
of it.
Schmeckel, now you die.
You know what's fucking amazing? And this guy is just so good. Okay, my brain is just full not functioning anymore. I'm thinking of Warlock dude. Why am I forgetting his name?
Magog?
Magog, yeah. Magog and Morskar. Yeah, that guy's so good.
Majudge.
Sorry?
Majudge. Marskers.
Yeah, no, he's great. I love him.
The chat was saying, are you talking about TJ Kirk whenever you're talking about fat people?
No. I actually haven't called TJ fat because we don't have that relationship. Like, I feel like if I so called him fat, he'd be bothered. Like, I call Ian Miles Chong fat often. There was one person that I called a major. Oh yeah, this is when I actually meant it. That inner partisan dude. I called him a butterball because he was being a rat. Inner partisan. You know that dude with the Wharf profile picture on Twitter?
That's around. Yeah.
He's a rat, man. That guy's fat. No. That guy's literally like a fatso. I'm sorry. I just, you know what it is? You know what? Here's what it is. Like, this is going to be kind of elitist to me. Like, I just don't like it when unattractive people get on my nerves. I just don't like it. It bothers me. It's like, like what is this peasant creature talking to me for? Like, well, don't do this. It's terrible. I don't know. I'm like that, but like, I take care of myself to a degree. Like, listen, I'm not like I'm not in peak Adonis condition here, and I could be in like 2 months. I could get fucking crazy ripped, and but I don't.
To be honest.
For being honest, like I know I'm not a bad looking dude, but it bothers me when there's like bad looking people that like are trying to fucking come at me because
So what happens when a hottie goes after you?
What happens when a hottie goes after me? I'm like, oh, like this hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. It really hasn't.
He's talking to you, Barbara.
Barbara, oh my God, Barbara. Barbara's so beautiful.
Barbara. Go after him.
You were in a Hi, I Think I'm Real's chat earlier. It was like I joined and then you joined and then Barbara joined and then Blair joined and he was like, "Oh Blair, I need to go pick up my jacket from your place." I was like, "Oh God, he fucked Blair."
Yeah, I saw that. I wouldn't have said that, but okay. Do you have do you talk to Blair?
No, I've never talked to her. I've wanted to have her on. She seems like a nice person.
She is nice. She's nice. They're all nice. Like honestly, they're all nice. I think that's been. I think I remember VidCon so well. I remember the last night of VidCon and how everyone was at the house and we were all just chilling, having a great time, having conversations. And
it's Liz Reptile showed up and ruined your night.
Well, Liz Reptile didn't really ruin my night. Just like I looked at her, I'm like, how the fuck? It was like, what?
What is this alien creature?
No, I was like, what's
fucking home? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, and I remember this time I was going back to the house and they didn't recognize me. and it was Liz Reptile and some other guy, and what's her name? She was on the Kilroy team there for a bit there. Sister Danger.
Yeah.
They were like, and they didn't recognize me. They were like, "Yeah, we can't. Are you guys going to Bunty's house? Because like we don't like we're not invited." And I look over and I'm like, "What?" And and they're like, "Oh, you're Bunty." I'm like, "Oh, you're Bunty." I'm like, "Yeah, we're just having a couple people that I really know over at the place." And yeah, it was getting out of hand, man. There was so many people. We were doxxed. Like everybody knew. The internet knew where the house was, but it was cool because nobody fucked with us, which I think is cool. I'm like, respect to the internet. They're not fucking with us. I'm pretty convinced that like the internet has my dogs. I know they do. It's out there already.
Nice guy. They don't want to.
Yeah, see, what you don't understand is the internet is on your side. You have no idea the power you wield.
I don't know if you know this, but your karma's like through the fucking roof. Like you could probably kill someone and it would still be pretty good.
I don't know. As long as you don't do it on camera.
I don't want to hurt anybody, but regardless, the idea is that I don't. Like, I think that I've gone about. I'm not saying that you guys have anything to hide, because I definitely don't think that any of you have anything to hide. I think it's more of just about respecting other people's privacy, and it falls on the same thing for me too. But
for me, it's more about my kids.
Yeah, I got that. I can respect that wholeheartedly.
For me, it's
you don't know what kind of fucking psychos are. Did you hear about those guys? Did you hear about those YouTubers that live in I think Texas or something like that? And this fucking guy showed up to their house and then killed himself in the driveway. Was kind of like murdering them.
When did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you about it afterwards. I'm talking to my friends.
Holy shit!
I never heard about that.
When was this? Was this recent?
This is something I saw Lacey post on Lacey posted about this, and then I was like, holy shit! And I saw it, and it was. If you just look it up, YouTuber home invasion, something like that. If you look that up, it was. I think it was a Twitter moment today or yesterday. It was really crazy, And
all right, Bunty, you've got a good pull. I'm gonna go ahead and give you some solid advice for all the YouTube content creators out there.
Oh,
I promise. This will keep people off of your property. It will keep people away from your house 100%. I guarantee it, and you get honey from it. You need to get some bees. All right, put a big sign up. Bees on property. Put a couple of hives out in front of your house. Nobody will come near. Even your neighbors will leave you alone.
Dolphin, you realize that there was a beehive, like a bee farm the other day that lost like 50 beehives, right?
Yeah, because
we don't like talking about that, honestly.
So but that's do you actually have a beehive?
Yeah.
So you like produce honey and shit?
I actually fermented into meat as well. So
big guy, I got a special treat for you whenever I come to VidCon, Bunty. I got a big treat for you whenever we go to VidCon.
I think. Oh wait, Pod, do you have mead?
Yeah, I do. That's what I was.
I sent Pod some mead.
That's so sick, man. That's so sick. Mead is awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what. If you ever come to the southeast around Atlanta area, you hit me up.
I fucking love Atlanta. Atlanta's my favorite U.S. city. It's my favorite.
Dude, you gotta come in. I've got gallons sitting upstairs right now.
I'd love to get hammered off of mead. That's like the Viking way too. That's so sick.
It was Gavin Free and Meg Turney. So one of the slow-mo guys, and then one of the what the fuck was her name? She was in like some like video game girl group or something. Like that.
It was the news aspect of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. So
no, she was in like a before that was maybe I'm thinking about Bernie's girlfriend Ashley. Never mind.
Well, Meg Turney, yeah, I mean, she did the No. She was also on the podcast, various different ones there. And what she was doing prior to that, I think while she was doing that, she was working for Playboy.
Are we talking about her again?
Apparently.
Yeah, that's a sad story. That's you just dipping into too many pots right there.
What was it?
She had some dude like trying to hid in her house and tried to kill her boyfriend, some stuff like that. It was just crazy. And he's Gavin from the Slow Mo guys. So
yeah.
Did you guys see my political compass video? You guys don't have to. I'm not saying that, but
I'm gonna watch it now because you told me to.
No, it's an hour long. It's an hour long. You don't have to, but
you pressured me into it. Now I have to.
Yeah, okay, we'll do
All the cool kids are doing it,
I'll
Pod.
be honest. If you told me,
Yeah,
to, like,
everybody in the
Started-
chat,
me
the
and Miles
audience, is
started the
so
trend.
much-
We started the trend again. We brought it up again. Here, let me just share a clip with you guys. You guys can actually watch. Like this is a while I was doing it, I answered a question, and I didn't really think about the question or how it was phrased, and I just like didn't really like it didn't click until I answered the question, and I was like,
All right. Who's running through a virtual line that can play that? Because mine's turned off.
None. Well, anyway, let's
You don't
just
have to. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. No, you don't have to watch it. I'm just showing it to you guys afterwards. When things done, you can do it.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, not now. Not now. I don't want to. Doesn't matter. No, it's fine.
I'm, so,
funny.
I'm sorry. I'm a little pissed off right now with the whole setting up videos and whatnot because I just spent 6 hours forgetting to hit Control S just to have my computer crash. And as a result, the Wednesday night video will not be coming out on Dolphin Radio.
Oh, shit.
I apologize. Yeah, so expect that tomorrow.
Oof. I
yikes.
have to watch this later. It's going into the watch later pile with all the other 8,000 videos.
Like just one day, just let it play and get to hear all about the flat Earth and shit from 8 years ago.
Bro.
By the I have YouTube on autoplay from time to time, and man, if you don't check that shit from time to time, you end up some weird places.
Yeah, I know. Especially when you start watching like more political content, it just brings you down a fucking rabbit hole, man. It's like, whoa, how'd I get here?
That's how I got in here. Like I watched the Theoretician's video on, I think it was Lacey Green because I had heard about her. And I watched a video he had made, and I like watched Bearing, and then started going, and then Kraut. And, like
Lacey's the fucking best, man. She's like she's like up there in my friends list. She's amazing.
She's got some okay tweets. So
she's
can I ask you from your personal experience, having met her, interacting with her on a regular basis, how well did she handle the transition she's going through?
I mean, there's certain things that I don't want to say because it's private, you know. But she's still here. That's one thing that you can already look at. You know, she's had to deal with levels of harassment that I can only fucking imagine. Only imagine. Yeah. I don't think people. I don't think people understand enough that like that's what she's been through. And people like to act like, you know, especially on this side, they're like, well, no, you know, I wouldn't harass a woman like that. So obviously it doesn't exist. And you project a lot. But the reality is that there's people who've done some really, really fucked up things in terms of like sending death threats, in terms of sending like, it's really crazy. And it affects a woman in a way that it wouldn't affect a man, you know, I think personally. So
yeah, we tend to buck up to that kind of
stuff. We do. Like if someone were to send me a death threat, I'd notify all of my friends, and I'd be like, "This is what's happening," and then I'd post about it and be like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?" I'd probably be like that. So, but at the end of the day, she doesn't like for her it was like a lot harder, but she's still here, and she's still, you know, she's really made a life for herself, and when I see all of these like keyboard warriors talk about feminism, they're just keyboard warriors. They're just these kids that are like playing the role of feminist. But Lacey is out there being an actual feminist because Lacey is representative of this lifestyle that these feminists want to achieve. Independent, strong, like woman that's capable of like maintaining her own life, you know, and make decisions for herself. And that's what she's been doing. And I think that's super chill. And like just in talking to her and get to know her, like I think she's just I respect her immensely.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with her because I used to be a liberal, and when I say I used to be a liberal, I mean like I was borderline Marxist. Yeah, I guess I am.
No, you just don't call yourself one anymore because they tarnished it in a way. You're just you.
Yeah, I don't think my opinions have necessarily my gun right opinions have changed. I'll give you that. But
are you pro gun?
I'm very pro gun.
Nice.
Yeah, I used to not be.
Yeah, I'm very pro gun too. Yeah.
But I came from what I guess was a liberal. You know, I hated Bush just like everybody, and then through the Obama, at some point in the Obama administration, I had a kid, and my whole world changed, and I kind of had a total 2-year mental breakdown, hermitage, everything, the whole 9 yards, and I see Lacey. And I can only imagine she's getting hundreds of messages a day, hundreds of comments a day, hundreds of tweets a day, thousands, and she's going through that same transition that literally broke me for like 2 years and made me a recluse. And she's right there in the public. So I like next time you see her, man, fucking badass woman.
Yeah, no, she's
definitely an alpha female.
Yeah. I would agree. I sometimes like there's definitely like a few people on YouTube that I would go to bat for. Like there's people that I've like they were being attacked like straight up. I would go into full blown attack dog mode, like just make videos, go ham on. And it would be like people like Lacey, Chris Raygun, my buddy Leon Lush. Ricky Berwick, like these kinds of people, if they're being harassed by someone, I'd be in there. I'd be like, yo, get the fuck off. June, Sean Head, all these people. Like these are people who people who I've met in real life who I've welcomed into my life or wanted to like kind of, integrate into my existence. These are people that I stand up for, and Lacey is definitely up there because she's helped me out in so many ways.
A lot of people weren't taking what she was saying very seriously early on when she was talking about she received like lots of harassment and stuff because that was a very common thing.
When did that happen? It was a very common thing for people to talk about, especially I think because of the Gamergate movement. And what happened with the Gamergate movement was that like there was a lot of people, there was bad actors, very vocal bad actors, like what's her name? The one
Brianna Wu?
Yeah, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Just
well, a lot of people back then were saying that they were harassed. They got it from various different people, like Gamergaters and whatnot, and we didn't think that they were really telling the truth about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
After your experiences now, and you were saying that she's getting harassed, do you think that Lacey was telling the truth early on when she was talking about? I don't know if she actually was saying she was being harassed. I'm paraphrasing some of this.
Actually,
I know she was very vocal.
I'm gonna go ahead and call you on that. She was very vocal about people being harassed. I know.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I never once saw her make a claim that she was being harassed. In fact, and like what Bunty's telling us now, that she's being constantly harassed. To this day, I've never heard her make a claim that she's being harassed. I've only ever heard her be like. I've heard her comment that women get more harassment.
Well, and she may. And she may have been making comments in regards to the criticism, maybe around the whole braless scenario. I know she did say that was mostly MTV's thing. She was reading scripts or something. She mentioned something along those lines during her conversation, if you will, was it Blair White?
Yeah, it's Blair White she was talking to, and then they got into a whole thing.
Yeah,
that was a great interview, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what it is for me, and this is something that I've addressed on other streams, and I'm probably going to address over and over again. Is that I showed up on the scene, like really bust into the scene at VidCon. You know, I was always on the sidelines, kind of hanging out. People knew who I was, but like not as many as they do now, right? So now people are like kind of see me out of nowhere. They're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But then I just also what's happened is that I don't know the full history that everyone has had with each other. So I didn't know how hardcore the rift was between Lacey and Sargon. You know, when that happened, I just saw a picture of them two like hugging or something like that. You know, and I was like, "Oh, cool, that's a cute picture." But for the internet, that was huge. For me, that was just two people hugging. You know, like and I don't know. I kind of forget that there's all these dynamics here, and there's all this like history going on with all of them. But yeah, no, I don't like from what I understand, you know, Lacey is not a braggadocious person, and I don't think that even goes for like any kind of threat she's received. Like, you know, that's about it. But you know, one thing I've noticed recently, she did this. She did a podcast with This American Life. She did an interview with This American Life. And I noticed the comments below the interview, and it was just like a bunch of losers calling her alt-right or like saying that she enables alt-right, and it's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? You know? So
yeah,
she's getting that kind of harassment from those losers.
you get that whole. We were talking earlier about the general attitude of people in arguments, and that's another one. Is that you're either with me or you're my enemy. It's just
So garbage.
Yeah, this stream is called Theoretical Rhetoric 2, when actions are never excusable. But that's one of my major ones. If you draw the line in the sand with you're either my friend or my enemy, then I'm not your friend. That's just the way that's going to go. Because if you're the one issuing the ultimatum, you're the one getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, and I think it's also really ugly that it's happening in times where we're in the most comfortable period of human history, and like in a period of human history in which we don't have to worry about, is my neighbor going? I mean, maybe in some areas they probably have to worry about that, but like I'm saying, like if you decide to have a family and a home and you purchase a home, you're going to factor in safety, right? So you're going to live there and you're going to be living in an area where you don't have to worry about, will my neighbor fucking kill me? So we are living in this time where everything's chill, and the fact that there's people who are drawing like lines in the ideological sense, being like, you're either with me or you're not, is ridiculous to me. It's insane, because this isn't real wartime. If real wartime were to come around, where people are running through the streets like gunning and stuff like that, and you have to make a decision between, are you with them or are you with us? I'm pretty sure most people would be like, all right, we're making our choice. They're not going to just be hanging in the middle, be like, no one's going to touch me. No, it's going to be like, I need to pick a side, otherwise I'm going to die. And I think at that point, that's when you have you're either with me or you're not, but not in these times, not on the internet. It's ridiculous on the internet. So people are so multifaceted. Like there's things that, I learn about people like that I feel like I've known for ages, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that about you. Like, you're Barian, man. Like now, if someone were to fucking tell me that this guy's an asshole, I'd be like, why would you say that? This guy's fucking spent most of his time, most of the last decade, homeless. That guy's been through more shit than I've been through. Like, why the fuck would you have anything bad to say about that guy? That guy's been through shit that you can't even possibly imagine, I bet. And I was just like, these are kinds of things that you need to like understand. People are so focused on their ideologies and making these ideologies like their ultimate defining characteristic, but it's not. You have all these experiences that have led up to all of this. I'm sorry. Yeah,
it was great. But there are some things you can say about the Beard Barian. I mean, for one, for a man called the Beard Barian, who spent all those years homeless, where the fuck's the beard?
Yeah, his beard's kind of weak. I have to say that.
It should be much more epic of a beard.
Yeah, it really should. I don't know, and I think that he knows that. And listen, guys, let's not drag on him for that, because that's like, I'm sure
he's not homeless anymore, so he's trimmed it up. I'm gonna go ahead and play devil's advocate for him.
Maybe. I don't think that's an excuse. I think that he should have a beard that's at least bigger than mine if he's going to call himself the Beard Barian. Because right now, I can tell you right now, he's not really a Beard Barian. He's more of a bitch Barian. That's what he is.
Dude. Sometimes.
See you on the Kumite, fucker. Let's go.
Sometimes you have to have a professional appearance.
He's gone absolutely insane.
Sorry?
Sometimes you need the professional appearance of that just beyond 5 o'clock from 3 days ago shadow.
Sometimes you got to make them think that you're homeless, and then hit them with the "I cleaned up my beard" look. You know what I'm saying?
Well, homeless to a guy like Beard Barian might just mean that
adventure.
He slept in the gut of a bear last night rather than a tent.
Yeah, it's an adventure for him.
Yeah,
and he made it seem like an adventure. Like it wasn't like a woe to me party, and I think that's cool. He definitely played it off like it's like he didn't play it off as like, that was so hard, man, and I'm devastated because of those years. It's more like, I did this and I did this to do this. It was like really interesting. He's like, what happened, and that's it. I'm here now, which is cool. I respect that of him.
Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. Bunty, it was really awesome talking to you. Hopefully we get to do it again at some point in the future. Absolutely. Pod, always fun.
Also,
Samaj, I love you, man. And not just in that gay way.
No homo.
I got to say something to you real quick, Dolphin.
Yeah?
I would, since it's Valentine's Day, I would definitely reclaim the Holy Land for you. Have a good rest of your Valentine's Day, rest of your 2 minutes, and
you too, man.
It is false.
Retake Constantinople.
Retake Jerusalem.
Oh my god.
Let's rename Istanbul. I'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh my god.
You mean Byzantium?
Would it? Do you think it would fix stuff if they retook Constantinople? Would it refix it? Would it fix the world if they took?
No, it's Jerusalem, not Constantinople. Constantinople.
Jerusalem, like whatever it is, whatever the fucking thing is. I mean, like, listen, my brain's not functioning, and at the end of the day, I'm a layman.
The Holy Land.
Yeah, would they, if they retook the homeland?
No, a whole bunch of other people would just be pissed off.
Really? I think it would fix everything. I think the Europe should retake. We should get Crusades Part 2. Let's bring them back.
Yeah.
I'll help them out.
Let's bring in. Let's bring in the. I forget what.
Right.
What
We
was the
establish the Silk Road. You know,
This would
and
be what, 15th Crusade. Or something like that?
I think you're drinking too much of that McDonald's coffee. That shit'll ruin your brain.
no, man. I've never had such a moment of clarity in my life. I think that we need to retake Jerusalem. Let's do it.
So there's
guys?
9 Crusades.
I'm in. Bunty, if you're in, we'll make a team effort of it. We'll retake Jerusalem.
We
Yeah, no,
will
and
take
I-
Jerusalem, brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I was
God
never
wills
for I was never for the separation of Quebec from Canada. I'm rethinking that. I'm rethinking that.
Yeah. I think that if Quebec separated from Canada, what would happen is Quebec would build the biggest army and then invade Canada.
Oof.
Well, I mean, you'd be
I
more.
think America might have something to say about that, but what do I know?
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
I think Quebec would be. Oh my God, there's one thing like Quebec's been like. There's been this rumor that's going around that Quebec's they're actually more down to be a part of the states than they are a part of Canada, which I was.
Oof, that's
like, no,
that's a
thank
no-no.
you. Like no,
Thank you.
No.
That's not good for either party.
Oh no.
I think we were trying to negotiate one time on the stream, like, what's the deal with Quebec? And we were like, yeah, you guys in America, we'll give you Quebec. Just give us Alaska.
No.
We don't even need all of Alaska. Just give us a nice chunk.
How about none of Alaska?
I always found that
We won't take
interesting. Like,
Quebec.
I mean, the United States is like, it's actually like separated. Like there's like a portion of the United States is separated from another portion of the United States, which is really interesting.
Oh,
Because it
over on
doesn't
that
feel
little
that-
island in
Yeah,
Washington.
it doesn't feel that way, you know.
You guys can have that. We don't need that, to be honest.
Washington?
No, there's like a little tiny piece of Washington that has like 12 people on it. Like, just take it. We don't need it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care if we lose 12 people. We're just gonna replace them in like a
I
day.
swear to God, we'll take fucking the smallest town in Maine as long as you take Quebec off our hands.
No, we're not taking Quebec. Too much of a liberal shift.
No, man, get the hell out of here. So don't touch Quebec, okay? I'm fine where I'm at. I don't want to fucking join the states. I don't want to fucking join the rest of Canada.
I would trade you guys one town for Bunty King. That's my deal.
That's amazing. One town for Bunty.
Oh no, we're getting rid of Quebec, not
You
Bunty.
can pick any town you want. Just any town.
Imagine, okay, just think about this scenario here, okay? An alien race comes down to planet Earth, right? And they single me out and they say, that man is worth the universe. Whoever has the ultimate power, and people start making trade deals on who can have me. How annoying would that be for me? I'd be really pissed.
You know, I think
I'd be like,
the
what
most
the
annoying-
fuck, dude?
I think the most annoying part is that you'll probably impregnate so many women in that negotiation time.
That's true. I would. I'd be like, hey,
kids, MRA, you would have no more worries about having kids. You would have like 87 kids. Like
hey,
9
I
months
wouldn't
later.
want that. Are you kidding me? I just want two.
It doesn't
two
matter. You're
maximum
taken
three.
care of. You literally own the universe, right?
Yeah, there's not a single woman that would not put out for the words, "Hey, by the way, I'm the savior. My kid might be too."
Yeah.
Oof.
Not a single woman who's not dropping her panties for that.
What the fuck? Dude, I'm in this like ANCAP group that Mr. Dapperton made. I don't want to be in it anymore, but I can't leave because it's
What's an ANCAP again?
it's a people who think that this is a generalization of their beliefs. People who basically think there shouldn't be a state. And that the free market should rule. Basically, you could break it down as no state. People get to own their own land. Once they claim it, it's up to them to defend their land, and then everyone can pay for, like, if you want an emergency service or police force or something like that, you can pay for it. It's basically Mad Max.
Taxation is theft.
And taxation is theft. That's the other part of that. Yeah.
We've had many odd conversations about ANCAPs.
But
absolutely.
my favorite thing about ANCAPs is that they're the weirdest people on earth. They literally just showed the entire group a literal piece of shit in the DM. It was very disgusting. I wanted to gouge my eyes out. 1 out of 10 would not meme again.
Go for it.
I guess I should be heading out because I do need to talk to some people about something, and I also have to get some work done and want to like talk Wiz. Is it okay if I duck out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, might as well. I think we're winding down. How you doing there, Schmeckel? You still with us?
He's dead. He's dead. Why is dead?
Cuts. I'm drunk. Cunts.
Still here. Sorry, the missus.
Oh, shit.
Well, you are struggling with the flu there, so I mean that could be a thing. So, what do you think? Should we wind down?
Yeah. Well, we'll start wrapping up at this point. Do the wrap up thing, Samash.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Bunty King, Paleopod, Dolphin Radio, myself. I'll thank myself because
I want to thank you too, Samash.
Oh my God!
You're a beautiful man today. I want to thank Bunty too. He's a beautiful man, and Dolphin. Dolphin's a beautiful porpoise.
And Schmeckel for allowing.
Schmeckel's a beautiful, sick top hat man.
He's a very sick, beautiful top hat man. Indeed. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming and chat and all the super chats that came in there. Thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate it. And happy Valentine's Day.
That's your kiss for yesterday's Valentine's Day.
Exactly. I hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day.
Me and Bunty are caressing your ears with smooches.
At the very least, if you didn't have a nice Valentine's Day, if you didn't get at the very least a hand job, give yourself one. Replay the stream, watch it back. Oh, we had some nice voices on tonight. We had Bunty's voice. We had Dolphin's dulcet tones, and then you can mute when we hit me, Samaj, or Pod. Now get the fuck out of here, Constable. We're done. Show is over.